Hey everyone, it's darthjarjar. Today we're going to be going over the Grand Draft Challenge. As you can see, I have a 12-win challenge completed here. Got it on my first try at 12-1. Did have one loss, but I do want to give you guys some tips so you guys can get your own 12-win challenges, get your own chests. It's a limited time event, so I wanted to make a video while it was available. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of these games. We're going to have to scroll down to these challenge games. The first one we're going to look at is against someone whose name I can't really read, but our first choice is going to be the Musketeer versus Three Musketeers. You know, I love the Three Musketeers, and it's also a very dangerous card if your opponent doesn't have a good answer. So I do decide to go with the Three Musketeers here. I think it's debatable. Either one could work. In terms of the Witch versus Minion Horde, I end up taking the Minion Horde. I think it's just a much stronger card overall in the game right now. Prince versus Bowler is an interesting one. Prince does counter Bowler, but I think, again, overall Bowler is just such a strong card. I also wanted that hard counter against the Witch. And finally, Hog or Dark Prince. I thought about this one for a little while. I do kind of like Dark Prince in draft, but I ended up taking Hog just because I didn't want to end up getting stuck with no win condition. So now heading into the actual gameplay, you can see in my starting hand, it's looking like I'm going to have a very heavy deck. And I also noticed that I have the RG in the graveyard, so I kind of have a triple win condition here. My first piece of advice really in draft challenges is going to be that you want to be hesitant to play your first card, especially if you don't have anything good to start out with. So you always want to react when possible. So here I kind of just wait. I don't really have anything good to start out with. Don't be afraid to do this in challenge. Send the thumbs up, we're just waiting. And see, because we waited, we're able to get a Bowler down for a good counter against this Knight and Lumberjack. Now the Bowler takes care of this Knight and Lumberjack, but it doesn't have very much health left, so we are going to put the Hog in front of it. And send in the Graveyard, so we go for the Hog Graveyard combo here. And it's getting off a decent amount of damage. The Bowler also getting some bowls in, and took his tower down to less than half health, and look at that Bowler. That's why I took the Bowler, is it really just wrecks that Witch. The Minion Horde does come out. It's good. It's going to be good against the Knight, and he is not going to be able to counter very well. So one thing I do want to notice and pause here is during drafts, you want to be really keen and like aware of what your opponent's big weaknesses are. So when I play a Minion Horde and he's unable to counter well, I'm thinking, well, when he has Witch out of rotation, he probably has no good counter against the Minion Horde. So I want to store that in my mind and for future use. You really got to take advantage of your opponent's weaknesses in draft. Because in draft, their deck is almost always going to have a weakness. So I'm going to play the Three Musketeers in the back, or not in the back, sorry. I have to split it higher up or they won't split. Remember, you got to split it kind of high up once the tower's down. But that was really my only play there. And then he does play the Lumberjack, and we're going to get the Bowler down. Remember, Bowler just so good against any troops that it can push back. So the Bowler heading in, we're going to put maybe a Hog Rider in the center to tank. No, we end up deciding not to. And I think that was actually a good choice. If we had put the Hog Rider in, then we wouldn't have enough elixir to defend his attack. We do use a Battle Ram defensively since we don't have much of another option. And we're forced to kind of just push the other lane because we don't have anything against the Elite Barbs. So the Hog does get a bit of damage on his King Tower, but his Elite Barbs are getting a lot of damage. We eventually are able to play the Minion Horde, but if I'm him, I'm noting, if this guy doesn't have Minion Horde or Bowler in hand, he can't deal with those Elite Barbs. So he got a lot of damage off there. Well played. But I do go in for the RG. I know he has no buildings, so an RG is going to be able to get off a good amount of damage. I'm going to place the Graveyard down where the RG is tanking, and it's going to get off enough damage to finish it off. So that was a good game there. So remember, the key takeaways from that game, you really want to kind of slow play at the start, see what your opponent's playing, and then capitalize on their weaknesses later. Pay attention to what in their deck counters your some of your cards, and if they don't have very many counters to one of your offensive cards, you want to play it while their counter's out of rotation, and they usually won't have another good answer. So here we're going to watch the next game. We're up against Ali Iraqi. That was a pretty easy choice. Fireball over Rage. Then I want to take the Minion Horde here because I know he's not going to have the fireball, and the minion horde, this was actually a close one, but because it would have been good to be able to fireball his minion horde, but I do think the minion horde just stretches such a strong card in draft. It's so hard to stop that I really just wanted to take that. I do think about this for a while, and I think either one's a good choice here. A Goblin Barrel is very hard to answer in draft, so there's no harm in doing that. But the Princess also extremely hard to answer, and he doesn't have an answer, really great answer yet in his deck. So if I can get out a bunch of Princesses, do some good damage, I am going to want to go with that. Finally, you guys know I love the Elixir Pump. If you know me, that was a quick choice. Never going to pass up that. Elixir Pump, especially in drafts when you haven't given them an answer. Like, for all we know, this guy could end up having no answer to the pumps, and we just run wild with him with our elixir advantage. So now let's get into the actual game. We do start with pumping our opening hand, so we're going to open with that. So pump comes down in the center. Now we wait for him to play. He plays the Lumberjack Hog, and we respond with the Mini P.E.K.K.A. as is pretty much our only option in hand. This Hog ends up getting off a lot of damage. The Hog Rage. Yeah, the Hog Rage, sorry about that. But, yeah, so he get off a lot of damage, but he also is way behind in Elixir now because of that Elixir pump and the fact that he had to spend that Rage. Here I'm going to place the Minion Horde down. Again, this is another match where I notice he doesn't really have anything to counter this Minion Horde. He has to play the Inferno Tower. And I haven't seen anything really that counters a Minion Horde in his deck, so I'm going to take note of that for future use. Here I have to Poison. I really want to cycle back to my Pump, and I don't have a better card to do it with, unfortunately. But I am going to cycle back to that Pump. He goes in with the Miner. I place the Mini P.E.K.K.A. down, get lucky, and catch him. So, always feels good to catch that Miner right on the dot with something like a Mini P.E.K.K.A. I'm going to send in the graveyard here, kind of test the water, see what he has to defend. He does end up cycling to his archers, but he misplaces them, and the graveyard gets off a lot of damage. And again, I'm going to play the Minion Horde whenever possible on defense now, just over other options, because I've seen that he has lots of trouble countering it. I'm really trying to capitalize on his weaknesses. And it gets off a bit of damage there. I actually kind of messed up that Princess there. I thought I was going to hit the tower rather than the Inferno Tower. But not a huge deal, and he is forced to counter with the Miner anyway. Kind of an awkward play for him, and now we can't miner our pumps, so we're happy with that. He does end up playing the Goblin Barrel. I thought he was going to go for my pump, and he actually went for my tower, so well played by him. But we're now going to send in the graveyard. We know we can take out the left tower with spells, so we're going to start working on that right tower. The Mini P.E.K.K.A. graveyard, kind of a hard combo for him to stop. We're going to fireball his Lumberjack, and we also hit his archers right as he places them down. A bit lucky from us, but I'll take it. I'm not complaining. The Princess is going to finish him off. And as you see here, normally you don't want to play a Minion Horde at the bridge, but here when I hit 10 Elixir, I go with the Minion Horde at the bridge. Why? Because I know he doesn't have very many counters in his deck, and I think that's the best play that was the best play in my hand at the moment. I go in for another Mini P.E.K.K.A. graveyard. Just want to keep the pressure on as I continue to full Elixir. And you can really see, I think one of the big things that won this game for me was A, the Minion Horde that he couldn't really counter, and then B, you can't really forget about that pump, giving me just a huge Elixir advantage. I play the Minion Horde again, and I am going to 3 count him, so GG there. So at this point, we're at 11 wins, heading into the final game, and let's see how that one goes. So I'm going to take the Prince over the Rage again. I would advise almost never taking the Rage unless maybe you have choice between Rage and Clone, something like that. I'm going to take the Log. I think it's a much stronger card than Arrows. I think Furnace is a much stronger card than Bomb Tower. And I think Skeletons give you more value than Goblins. I know I can log his Goblins too as well. So here, going into this game, one thing we can learn from this is immediately I see that I have the Tesla and he has a Lava Hound. So what he did is he picked the Lava Hound and he gave me the Tesla. And you never want to do that. Tesla is extremely good against Hound. It's extremely good against Loon as well. So if you're wondering something that you definitely should not do in draft, you don't want to take a card and then give your opponent one of the best counters to that card. You should try to avoid that under almost any circumstances. Meanwhile, he's thinking, and then he plays Lava Hound in the back. And when I see the Lava Hound in the back, I know that I'm going to want to punish him because he only has 3 Elixir. And a lot of times it's hard to punish actual Lava Hound decks because they have the right setup to respond. They have a Tombstone ready. They have a Skeleton Army ready as soon as they play that Lava Hound. But here in draft, as you can see, he has very expensive cards in his hand, and most of the time your opponent's not going to have those efficient counters ready. So I recognize that, and I immediately go for a very aggressive Prince Lumberjack push on the other side. When I know he's at low elixir, the Lumberjacks and the Prince are going to shred those goblins, and he can't get anything down in time. He just doesn't have enough elixir. And we're going to take that tower very quickly, and then meanwhile we can get a good trade here with our Tesla. So yeah, you can really just see this Tesla doing work on the Hound. He sends in the balloon, and we are going to pull it also with our Furnace, not letting that balloon get anywhere near the tower here. He rages it. He does get some damage off from those raged pups, but not too much. And if you look, we're ahead by 3 elixir and way ahead in tower damage. So really, when your opponent invests in a tank like a Golem or a Lava Hound, if you have those punish cards, you really want to go for them, because you do not have much elixir after they play that huge tank in the back. So here I'm kind of just trying to make investment plays in the back as much as I can. I don't really have too many great investment plays in hand, but eventually I'm kind of forced to go on the offensive because he's just not playing anything. He does get the bowler down, but remember, the Prince isn't stopped by that bowler, and it does get the charge off on it. I'm not sure how good of a log this was, honestly. I don't think it did too much. But the Lumberjack Rage helped the Prince get a decent amount of damage off there. And let's see, what do I do here? Maybe try to get another Furnace down. Yep, I get another Furnace down. I'm trying to get some investment plays going. So there aren't many in my deck. And I think he's going to try to play another Hound here, so... You might say, how do I punish him here? I don't have any really good punish cards in hand, and the answer is I have to cycle to my punish card. So I'm gonna play that. Oh, actually, sorry about that. I'm actually not gonna cycle my punish cards. I'm gonna put my wizard in the back, set up a defense, because here I know that all I have to do is defend. I'm gonna set up a Tesla, and I'm not gonna get. Knowing that I have 2 defensive buildings, my goal here is to not let this Lava Hound or this balloon get anywhere near my tower. Really just pull it around with buildings, cycle those buildings. Pull a balloon back into the middle of the Furnace. You're not going anywhere near my tower. If I can just hold off for 30 more seconds, I know that I'll get this 12-win challenge. But I am heading towards full elixir, so I'm gonna put a bit of pressure on. The Baby Dragon splashing on that bowler and tower, and look at that Rage Baby Dragon, actually does a ton of damage. The Rage Baby Dragon and the Wizard combined there, and he plays the balloon again, but I have the Tesla to pull. I actually missed the pull on the Tesla, but I barely get the Furnace down in time. That's going to be just enough, and his balloon still doesn't get a shot off on the tower. So good game to Juggernaut from Pegasus there. And that's going to be a 12-1 grand challenge. So hope you guys learned something about draft challenge in this video. We are going to open up this chest real quick, and then I will be done. So see what's in this chest. Hopefully we get a legendary. We got the gold, Valkyries, mini P.E.K.K.A.s, mortars. We got an executioner. That's pretty nice. Dark goblins. I have under levels, so that makes sense. Goblins, collectors. I like those. Getting closer to level 10. Battle rams. We got some zaps. We're getting not too far away from max. That'd be nice to have max zap. 52 bomb towers. 553 knights. I really like that. I'm getting close to max knight, and I have knight in my deck, so pretty happy about that. 10 princes is nice. I'm not really sure if we got a legendary. I think it's legendaries or maybe rares. We got a legendary. It's an Ice Wizard. We're up to 5 out of 10. I'm personally not a huge fan of the Ice Wizard, but always nice to get a legendary card in that chest. So, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you learned something, and see you next time.